Strength and innovation.
Namaste. A very warm welcome to the webinar on India's TAC and ITU's initiatives on digital innovation, the first of a 5-part series on digital technology innovations, case studies from India and the Asia Pacific region. I am Bindu Srivastav, and I am responsible for Marcom and partner relations at TSTSI. I, along with my colleagues, Mr. Asif Iqbal, Ms. Shefali Sinha, Ms. Sonia Sachdev Sharma, and our collaborator, Mr. Calvin Chan from ITU, are your hosts for this webinar. Before we begin, here are a few hygiene announcements. All attendees will be muted throughout the workshop. If you have any questions for the speakers, please type them in the question tab. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted to the TSTSI website within the next few days. Speakers are requested to kindly deliver your presentations within the allotted time durations. A warning chime will be sounded by the timekeeper, approx 2 minutes before your scheduled time is up. And now about the webinar. This webinar series is organized jointly by the Telecommunications Standards Development Society India and the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, with support from Department of Telecommunications and select ministries of Government of India and other partners from the Asia Pacific region. The series will showcase digital technology implementations and success stories from the public as well as private sector, with the objective of strengthening collaboration within the region on digital communication technologies and standards. This first edition will have an overview of ITU and engagement avenues for organizations from the region. It will also have a talk on the ITU International Center for Digital Innovation, ICODI. We have the distinguished honor to have with us today in this webinar, Ms. Anita Praveen, Additional Secretary Telecom, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, Ms. Atsuko Okuda, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, International Telecommunications Union, Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, Chair, TSTSI, and the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Director, Tata Consultancy Services, and Mr. R. Shakya, Deputy Director General, Satellite and International Relations, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. Thank you, ma'ams and sirs, for joining the inaugural session of the webinar. I now invite Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, Chair, TSTSI, to make his opening remarks. Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, NGS, is, I'll just give a brief intro to you, sir. NGS is a chairman of Telecommunications Standards Development Society India. He is also the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Director of Tata Consultancy Services and Chairman Tata Elxsi Limited. NGS has been part of TCS and the Indian IT industry for the last 39 years and has played a strategic role in several landmark initiatives that TCS undertook across banking, telecom, and public services globally. NGS, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bindu. Good morning. Ms. Anita Praveen, Madam Okuda-san, Sri Shakya, distinguished guests. Greetings from TSDSI, and I take great pleasure in welcoming you all to this webinar series that showcase digital technology innovations from the public, private, and the government sectors. In India, the digital agenda has been embraced holistically by the government and the industry alike. The India digital stack is the backbone around which many products and services have evolved digitally. This has empowered the citizens and consumers, enabled inclusivity, and above all have made the products and services in the field of banking, finance, education, and healthcare, and above all, social security accessible to everyone in a secure, borderless way. The increasing number of mobile connections, expanding and affordable internet coverage, the Aadhaar identification of every citizen, and the unique model of common service centers at Gram Panchayat level in India has made all these possible and viable. I had the opportunity to be at a vantage point to develop, design, and deploy some of these unique innovations. When I look back and see the common themes, patterns, architectures, vision, etc., of these various digital innovations, I notice four principles in each one of these innovations. Firstly, what I call it as mass personalization. It is the ability to handle every transaction, related aspects all together and provide a unique experience to the consumer of the products and services. Secondly, the principle of creating exponential value. I find that the transaction cost of the consumer is negligible, and in many cases, it is free of charge. Yet, the provider of the products and services makes it a viable operation. This is about designing the services to be applicable based on the theory of abundance as opposed to optimizing the constraints that one has. Third is the principle of ecosystems. The architecture in which the platforms or the apps are designed and developed is made open so that it is interoperable and makes it easier for every other service providers who want to join and provide value-added services on top of whatever is being offered. Lastly, the approach to risk is one of embracing it rather than the traditional approach of monetizing and traditional approach of avoiding those risks. On the technology front, cloud automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, coupled with agile way of working, has delivered the speed to value in each one of these innovations. Today, I am delighted to see the agenda wherein a number of innovations are being showcased, which are created and deployed by many in the private and public and government sectors across the region. I have no doubt that it will promote cross-pollination, seeding, and open the path towards standardization, interoperability, and industrialization. Thank you very much, and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much, NGS, for your remarks, and especially the four principles for digital innovations. We'll keep that in mind. I now invite Madam Atsuko Okuda, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, International Telecommunications Union, to make her remarks. Ms. Okuda was appointed as a Regional Director of the ITU for Asia and Pacific in April 2020. Prior to this assignment, she was the Chief of the ICT and Development Section at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific from 2015 to 2020, where she promoted the development of regional broadband connectivity through the implementation of the Asia Pacific Information Superhighway Initiative. Over to you, Madam Okuda.
Thank you, Ms. Findu. Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, Chief of the Telecommunications Standards Development Society, India, Ms. Anita Praveen, Additional Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, Mr. Shakya, Deputy Director General, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, distinguished participants, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Atsuko Okuda. I'm the Regional Director of the ITU Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, and I'm very pleased to be part of this inaugural session of the webinar series entitled Digital Technology Innovations, Case Studies from India and the Asia Pacific region. May I first express my sincere appreciation to the Telecommunications Standards Development Society of India for co-organizing this event with ITU, and to the Department of Telecommunications and other government ministries of India for their support in the organization of this important webinar series. Let me start by underlining just how important staying connected is in this new normal of the COVID era. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the indispensable role of digital technologies for communicating, learning, working, doing business, and interacting with the society and economy. Due to the COVID pandemic and shift to online platforms, we have observed unparalleled growth in ICT access and usage in the Asia-Pacific region. Our ITU statistics show over 98% of the region is now covered by a cellular network, with 94.2% within the reach of an LTE signal. However, this coverage number hides more granular or nuanced digital divides, the divide between urban and rural areas and between men and women. For example, 70% of the urban residents are reported to have internet access compared with only 36% of rural areas in Asia and the Pacific. Internet penetration by gender is 48% to 41% in favor of men. Over 70% of youth currently are using the internet in the region, compared with only 45% of individuals in general. One of the drivers of this divide is affordability. The United Nations Broadband Commission has adopted the 1 for 2 targets, where 1 GB of mobile broadband data should be available for 2% or less of GNI per capita. Regionally, the Asia-Pacific already meets this target at 1.3% of GNI per capita, but this regional average masks the wide range of affordability in the region, from 0.28% of Brunei Darussalam and India to 10.69% in Papua New Guinea. That means that there is still a lot of work to be done to narrow the digital divide and ensure digital inclusion in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, to tackle these barriers, digital innovations are essential. They enable governments, communities, and companies to leapfrog and offer new solutions and services which meet the growing demands of users and citizens along the dynamic technological development. Many innovations are generated on a daily basis, but not all of them see light at the end of the day, regardless of their utilities and relevance. Although the Asia-Pacific region is widely seen as a dynamic innovation hub, there is a divide in the region between those countries which are top performers globally and those whose digital innovation ecosystem is relatively nascent. Among global unicorns, or the startup companies with the market capitalization of over 1 billion US dollars, the second and third most numbers of unicorns are found in the region, China and India respectively. However, the divide shows when one looks at the entrepreneurship data. Among the 139 economies ranked in the World Bank's data on new business entry density, the Asia-Pacific region includes top performers, as well as 3 countries in the bottom 5 for new business density. In order for us to capitalize on the full potentials of digital innovations, we need to connect among ourselves. We need to connect the government, private sector, academia, and civil society so that we can create or co-create an enabling ecosystem, and digital innovations are taken up by various stakeholders. We also need to connect beyond national borders so that good practices are spread widely and digital transformation is accelerated in the region. Today's session came about due to such needs to connect and innovate. The webinar series aims to showcase the power of digital innovation in bringing forward new solutions. They help connect the unconnected and also create business and employment opportunities in this digital economy. The future sessions, of this series will dive into key elements of digital innovation ecosystem, including fintech, connecting rural areas, international standards, and data privacy and security. We will specifically highlight innovations and case studies from India and the Asia-Pacific region to promote regional cross-fertilization of ideas and co-creation. Ladies and gentlemen, ITU is organizing the World Telecommunication Standards Assembly in Hyderabad, India in February 2022 and the World Telecommunication Development Conference in Addis Ababa in June 2022. We hope that the webinar series not only disseminate knowledge, but also build an understanding of our regional innovations and prepare us to shape the digital future through these important world conferences. Thank you very much for your time and participation in this webinar series. I hope that you find them stimulating, and I look forward to learning more about the innovations and co-creating our solutions for our digital future. Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Bindu.
Thank you very much, Ms. Okuda, for giving us a very interesting perspective from the Asia Pacific region and pointing out the opportunities, the challenges, and therefore the opportunities for bridging the digital divide, the co-creation opportunities. Thank you very much, madam. I now invite Ms. Anita Praveen, Additional Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, to deliver the inaugural address. Madam Praveen, an IS officer of the 1989 batch Tamil Nadu cadre, is currently working as the Additional Secretary in Department of Telecommunications. She is looking after policy matters of Department of Telecommunications as Secretary, Digital Commission, and recommendations of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, along with administration of the department. Over to you, Madam Praveen.
Thank you, Ms. Shrivastava. Ms. Atsuko Okuda, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, ITU. Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, Chair, TSDSI and CEO, TCS. Colleagues from the DOT and ITU. Distinguished expert speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar from India. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the inaugural session. It's a pleasure to be part of this session. And it's a bigger pleasure to see the topic of the webinar series organized by ITU and TSDSI. I find that the objectives behind it are well timed and suited for the phase of evolution that the telecom sector is undergoing in the face of challenges all around us. India has been very serious about its development goals, and so would be other countries, similar developing countries, I must say, and I'm sure that they are also pursuing similar targets as India is doing. The path of development for a country with large population is long and arduous, as equitable social justice is not easy to attain when resources are not limitless. But the intention to reach the desired goals are strong, and the path has been chalked out clearly. We recognize that digital technology is our best friend on the route to development. Connectivity to the last mile and technology most suited for vast rural areas, which are also very remote, will have to be a major tool in our arsenal. With this realization, India has embarked on its attempt to connect all Gram Panchayats long ago under the BharatNet project. The Gram Panchayats are where the third tier of the government functions close to the people. With the large expanse of the country, the task is huge and the progress is ongoing. However, without stopping there, the government has announced its intention to connect all the 6 lakh villages of the country also. This will give us universal rural coverage. The rural areas are not financially viable for the private sector, and therefore, I believe the government has to step in to provide this coverage. This effort is bound to give impetus to the objectives of Digital India and to make all possible services accessible to everyone through digital means. India has taken small steps to innovate on the next generation of technology, and our private sector has been our partners in this area. We have gone through ideation with startups, students, and universities under an ongoing hackathon. We are close to being ready with testing infrastructure under reputed institutions which are going to provide test beds for this purpose. We look forward to excellent outcome from our 5G trials also. With the proposed innovations like LMLC and 5GI and many other similar innovations that may add to the list from other countries of Asia Pacific region, I'm sure the arms of the government in the region will be strengthened to push the agenda on development forward. The important outcome that I look forward to from this series of webinars is the experience of sharing that starts today onwards. Rather than reinventing the wheel by everyone, it is an excellent idea to share our experience, learning, and their potential universalization by standard development and acceptance by other countries through the due process. We look forward to shared experiences in the area of coverage, use of technology to enhance development coverage, and access. The multiplier effect of this effort is going to be huge, as I understand. I would like to compliment TSDSI on its various outreach initiatives with its partners and peer forums globally, with special emphasis on entities in the Asia-Pacific region. This collaboration with the ITU for the webinar series will bring excellent outcomes. Department of Telecommunication has supported all such endeavors, and this is a beginning for closer collaboration between TSDSI and ITU. It is well timed with the challenges thrown by the pandemic and the strong response given by the digital technology by keeping the world connected in these difficult times. I wish success to this webinar series and hope for very practical and innovative outcomes from this collaborative efforts. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Madam Praveen, for that very inspiring message. We do hope to come up to your expectations and get collaborative ideas started through this webinar series. I now invite Mr. R. Shakya to deliver the vote of thanks for the inaugural session. Mr. R. Shakya is the Deputy Director General, Satellite and International Relations in the Department of Telecommunications, Ministry of Communications, Government of India. He was earlier working as a Senior Advisor to the ICT Authority, Government of Mauritius, and was entrusted with additional responsibility of Executive Director of the ICT Authority. Over to you, Mr. Shakya.
Thank you, Ms. Bindu Srivastava. It is an immense pleasure to express the vote of thanks on behalf of the Government of India, especially the Department of Telecommunications, on the topic which has been chosen for having the experience sharing, especially in the digital technology innovations, showcasing the study products or the case studies of the India as well as the Asia Pacific region. I'm sure the outcome is going to have the benefits to all the member states of the Asia Pacific region. I want to express my sincere thanks to Additional Secretary Madam Anita Praveen, who had spared her time. We understand how much busy nowadays she is in the various activities which are undertaken, especially with respect to BharatNet project collaborations and the coordination with the different entities and other policy matters of the DOT. Ma'am, we are honored by your presence, giving the very valuable and the inspiring words, so that the organizers, both TSDSI and ITU, will take care of that direction which is going to benefit everyone. I'm also thankful to Ms. Atsuko Akuda, Regional Director, Asia Pacific from the ITU. She has given very wide perspective of having the affordability linked with the GNI percentage. Although, ma'am, we are always proud to share that despite of our GDP and the per capita income to respective citizens, we are one of the lowest tariff countries in terms of the data being rendered to the whole of the country. You may be happy to know that nowadays, on average, ₹10 per GB per day kind of plans we have, wherein the people can have the connectivity of the internet, serving various aspects of social applications, personal e-governance, financial inclusion and all. Madam, you had given a very good insight how the whole society should move to take advantage of the innovations of the digital technology and also bridge the digital divide, whether it is the rural or urban, or the divide is between the genders, or the device is linked with the aging of the people, young or old. I'm sure we together will work towards that, and India will always be supporting all the possible measures taken or directed by the ITU. We will participate with that. The presence of Mr. N.G. Subramaniam, Chairman TSDSI, and also the Chief Operating Officer TCS, has given strength to the TSDSI team, who will definitely come forward and fulfill all the direction which are being given today in this inaugural session. With this, I would like to thank the entire team of ITU, Asia Pacific region, who are coordinating this program, has given an opportunity to India to share our views, our thoughts, our innovations with the rest of the world, and hosting not only the single, but a series of webinars on the days to come on the similar issues. My thanks is also to the entire team of the TSDSI, including the DG, Ms. Pamela, and the other supporting team, Mr. Chen from the ITU, and the other two officers from the TSDSI who are working very closely associated with this and putting all possible arrangements. So with this, I conclude and thanks all the dignitaries who had been present, guiding us, and wish that the whole webinar goes successful and deliver the outcome as envisioned by the eminent panelists in the inaugural session. With this, I conclude my remarks. Thanks again to one and all. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shakya, for delivering the vote of thanks. With that, we come to the end of the inaugural session, and we will now start the technical